Translate volume item of mesh menu is to generate volume meshes by translating surface meshes along a specified path. This is a type of sweeping mesh generation. So, we have to define the surface meshes, that is, the source of translation, and designate a curve for the sweeping path. Two surface meshes are prepared in advance for this tutorial of translate volume mesh generation. We may associate it with a simple embankment dam composed of earth fill and core wall. Choose Translate Volume item from Mesh menu to start the mesh generation. Translate Volume dialog opens. Select the surface representing the earth fill portion and click Set Surface button. Thus, the source of translation is determined. Next step is to define the curve for the sweeping path. There are three options for setting the sweeping path: Input, Select, and Last. The default option is Input, which demands creating the sweeping path by inputting the coordinates of control points. The grid is automatically turned on for convenience of inputting control points. Use the virtual trackball to get a three-dimensional view. Move the XZ grid plane to touch the bottom of the surface mesh. Input the control points of a spline curve on the XZ plane. Click the last point twice to terminate inputting control points. Set the number of divisions to 40. The sweeping path will be divided into 40 segments. In order to designate the newly inputted spline curve as the sweeping path, click Set Path button. Then, the volume mesh is created by Translate Volume Mesh Generation. The volume mesh represents only the earth fill part. Let's undo the mesh generation and generate the volume mesh for the core wall part. Select the surface and click Set Surface button. We may use the existing spline curve instead of creating a new one. So, change the sweeping path setting option to Select. Then, the curve selection tool is activated automatically. Select the spline curve for the sweeping path and click Set Path button. The volume mesh is not generated. Instead, there appears a message, Invalid Sweeping Path. The mesh generation does not work because the sweeping path is not connected with the source surface mesh. Let's close the message dialog to demonstrate the case of multiple surface meshes. In the case of multiple surface meshes, however, the sweeping path need not be connected with all of them, but should be connected with one of them at least. Set two surface meshes for source meshes. We may use the previous one for sweeping path. So, set the sweeping path setting option to Last. The sweeping path is connected only with the earth fill part, but not with the core wall part. Click Set Surface button. Then, the volume meshes are successfully generated for the earth fill and core wall parts at the same time. This is the end of the tutorial for Translate Volume Mesh Generation.